Camozio, oh, I am a go, young mailing was Yamwati, Jumamo, Jumamo, coopérant chez moi.
Radio Equinoxe 93 FM. La fréquence positive.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on yet another fresh episode of the program You're in the Health on Equinoxe Radio Multimedia. Are you depressed? Do you know someone who is depressed? Are you aware that millions of people across the world are suffering from depression, with so many having different varieties of causes? Maybe it could be marital crisis. Could be the fact that they have been unable to secure a job for the past 5, 6, 7, or even 10 years. And due to this condition, they have found themselves in a very deep pit. And coming out of that pit seems to be a problem. On today's edition of the program, You're in the Health, we'll be looking at what exactly depression is and how we can better prevent this condition from affecting millions worldwide. And before introducing our guest of the day, let's welcome my co-host, Ese Lucy Liengo. Hello, Lucy. It's a pleasure having the program.
Hello, Immaculate Forgo. It is a pleasure as usual, and good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers out there.
On today's edition of the program, we'll be receiving Dr. Elizabeth Fon. She is a medical practitioner and also a life coach dedicated in helping individuals navigate through mental challenges. Hello, Doctor. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Hello, Immaculate. Hello, Lucy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Doctor, today we are looking at a critical topic known as depression. But then there's this problem. A lot of people don't really understand what it's all about and how to equally differentiate between depression and sadness. Can you help us with that?
Yeah, let's start by defining depression that the common man can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Depression is a pervasive and persistent state of sadness that is not uplifted with time. It's a spectrum. It goes through from just slight sadness for a short time to the stage where you have complications of the sadness. At that stage, you are thinking of ending your life. They call it suicidal ideation. Like when you go to the hospital in America, the first question they ask you is like, do you feel like killing yourself? That's you've gone for another illness, eh? Your stomach is hurting, you have headache or something. Do you feel like killing yourself? If you say yes, they are just going to press the button to take care of you for suicide, because it can end in suicide depression.
Apart from wanting to kill yourself, what are some other symptoms of depression?
As I said, the symptoms range and they depend on the person. Sometimes the person is just sad. They isolate themselves from the others. They don't want to associate with anybody. They lie in bed the whole day. They don't groom themselves. They just cry for any small thing. They just cry, they cry. And then they just don't have joy in the things that they used to do. So if you are near them, you begin to realize that that is depression. It's not laziness. Something has triggered that depression, and we are going to talk about the triggers later on.
Exactly.
Something has triggered that depression. You need to support the person to get out of it, not insult the person. Like, you're so lazy. Look at how dirty you are. Get up, go and bathe, go and shave yourself. No, the person needs support, emotional support.
All right, Immaculate, before we talk about the diagnosis, we'll give out the numbers to those who like to participate on today's edition. We have 670-547049, 670-547049, or 65662 2222, 65662 2222 at the end. And back to you, Doctor. We'd like to understand, what are some of the diagnoses that we have when it comes to depression?
Actually, the diagnosis come from observation and talking to the person, because a person who is in depression may not even come to you and say, I'm depressed, or I'm in depression, even though we use the word loosely. Don't depress me, I'm depressed. And Many people say they are depressed. They are not really depressed. Yes. So you observe somebody, what has happened to the person. Maybe they've lost someone, a loved one. They've lost a job. Maybe they are going through a divorce. Maybe they are going through childlessness without support. So you ask them the questions to see what could trigger the depression. Then you ask them about their lifestyle. What are they doing now? Do they go to work? Do they associate with others and so on? So from the questions and the answers, you can now diagnose depression.
Okay, how then does genetics or maybe our environment influence this?
That's very important. You know, some people are prone to depression. People who have melancholic personalities, they always like to worry about things. They are so pessimistic. They see only darkness in everything. Those are people who can easily fall into depression when they have triggers. Like if they have a problem, they are going through a divorce, being melancholic, they can go into depression. Then environment where they insult people. You have a husband who insults you, who does not uplift you. I'm talking about uplifting people. You know that many people don't know how to uplift others in their relationship. They don't know how to uplift others. They think only of themselves and they degrade the other person. So if you have a melancholic personality, there are chances that you go into depression. Yes. So environment plus genetics, being a melancholic can lead to depression. If you are a sunny person, like a sanguine person, who always sees the positive in everything, optimistic, chances of going to depression reduced.
Now in our society today, we have families who are unable to talk to each other. You have people unable to even greet their neighbors, say good morning. And in such a case where such a person is depressed, who then is the right person for that person to meet and talk about their problems?
It's so sad because, you know, depression used to be a disease of the whites. We used to say stress and depression did not affect us because we had our support system, our communal therapy. You go to a cry die. You start crying. After you finish crying, you start talking to your neighbor. It's like this, I have this problem, I have this problem. And I would say, is that all? I had a worse problem. And my neighbor had a worse problem. By the time you are leaving the cry die, you've already done your therapy. That was our support system. Today we are living in town. The person who is supposed to support you to help you is divorcing you.
We have a call on the line. We'll come back to that question. Hello?
Yes, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name, where you're calling from, and
Good
your
afternoon.
question.
Yes, I want to find out what can really does this depression cause a harm to you when you are back having sex with your wife in the house, for you not to be erect?
Okay. Did you get a question,
Yes,
doctor?
I got the question. So, sir, you are asking that you might have male problems with erection. Can it be caused by depression? The answer is yes. If you have a wife who does not support you and you're going through problems, let's say you've lost your job and she spends her time insulting you instead of encouraging you, and if you have other problems like your wife does not understand that you might be ill, it might be an illness, you might have diabetes, you might have hypertension or things like that, or you are taking medicines for other illnesses that affect your erection. So if you don't have that kind of relationship where you have the support and you can come out of the depression, you can go to the hospital together, then yes, true, you can have problems with your erection.
Thank you so much for calling. Okay, now we'll go back to the question of people now keeping to themselves, having no one to talk to. How does it affect them?
The truth is that for you to get out of your depression, you can either do it yourself. You talk to yourself positively. Yes, that will help you. You stand in front of the mirror and say, hey, I'm beautiful. Even though You know, people might think you are not beautiful.
Yeah.
But you say you are beautiful. You smile at yourself. You encourage yourself. You look at what is happening positively in your life. So you can do it by yourself. You can have a support system. Somebody will tell you, don't worry, tomorrow will be better. You're going through this, but you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So don't worry. It can be a spouse, it can be children, it can be your friends, it can be your colleagues, it can be, you know, family members, church members. So you can have that. Then, if it's bad, you cannot be uplifted out of your depression. They are experts. They have centers, meditation center. Our vision is building healthy communities from healthy relationships, because we realize that relationships are a problem. So you can go to people who will help you, experts who will help you to get you out of your depression. You can even go to the psychiatrists who will prescribe you medications for that dark period for you to get over it. So you don't need to suffer alone.
You are a life coach, and you tend to tackle a lot of cases of depression. In a case where someone comes because they are facing marital challenges, or someone that comes because they are having problems with their mother-in-laws, maybe let's say at work they have a difficult boss, what different types of therapies do you usually recommend for such people? Do you handle these cases the same way?
No. Each case is unique. And at the center, the first therapy that we give is listening, attentive listening to everybody. They need to air out their problems. This is what I'm going through at work with my colleague, with my boss. This is what I'm going through with my husband. These are the words he uses to insult me and so on. Sometimes they talk and they cry. Mm-hmm. Yes, you let them cry. It's good for them. It's a cathartic process, like you kind of vomit the emotional pain that you are going through. Then after that now, we start working with them. And I say each case is unique. You start working with them to see what you can do, propose in that particular situation for the person to get out of their depression. Yeah.
So how much can these therapies cost, approximately?
They cost a lot. You know, they cost a lot. Because the first therapy, just listening, you might listen for 2 hours. We've had cases where we listen to people for 4 hours, They've accumulated hurt. Mm-hmm. They need someone to listen to them. So you pay the consultation for the listening therapy, which might be something like 25,000 standard, or 40,000 where you want to do like 2-3 hours.
We have a call on the line. We'll come back to that. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name and where you are calling from?
Okay.
I didn't get you.
Okay, my name is Tabby Richard.
Okay, where you're calling from?
Tabby Richard.
Yeah, where are you calling from, and your question, please?
I'm calling from Yaoundé.
All right, sir, your question.
Yes. I'm calling from Yaoundé, and I was formerly a patient to the doctor. She might not know me again because it's been long.
Yes, I've been a doctor for 40 years, so I imagine.
Yes. What? Yes, when you were at Bonatama.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you were giving me a bag of rice at every end of the month.
Oh, my God.
My mother brought me to you because I lost my job and I was almost killing myself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My mother, you may know her, since she belonged to 97 years old, Miriwido from Zansabi.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Miriwido.
Okay.
She's fair in complexion.
Okay.
Yes, and you were giving me rice and a 10,000 francs because I wanted to kill myself. You supported me, even with platform. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm very, even though my situation hasn't changed, but I am very happy to hear your voice, to know you are alive. Yes, I will work in a certain farm, and this fake man took the money I was doing the farm. So I am still like that, just like before. I don't want to face you. I just want to say, God bless you the more.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much,
much.
sir. Thank you so much for
There in Douala
participating.
now.
You got
Yeah.
his
At my
question?
sister's house, she's sick. She's sick there.
Okay.
All right.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for
Yes.
participating in today's program. You got his question?
It wasn't
No,
actually
no,
a question.
it
or-
wasn't a question, but I just thank God. This is to show that
Yeah.
the things that we do to uplift people out of their depression.
Okay.
We might think that is small,
Mm-hmm.
a bag of rice, 10,000. It might be small,
Mm-hmm.
but that is what would give the person hope.
Hope,
And I'm
of
so
course.
glad that he's been able to call to say that,
Okay.
you can do something.
For
Don't
somebody.
say there's nothing that I can do.
Will do.
You can do something for somebody who is
Somebody,
in depression to lift
To
them
help
up.
them out.
Thank you, Mr. Tabi, and I hope that with time you'll be able to get something to do, something that you love.
Yeah. And we also like to understand, aside the aspect of getting to experts or maybe going to therapies, what are some other options, treatment options that are available to solve depression?
To solve depression is actually about you. That is it. Work on yourself. Tell yourself that you're not going to die. You're not going to let depression kill you. You are going to do something. Go out and volunteer to help other people. When you see that other people are suffering more than you, it will uplift you out of your depression. Keep a gratitude journal, like I said. Write out 150 things why you're grateful to God. And when we do this in therapy, you'll be surprised. When they start writing, by the time they get to 100, they start smiling. Yeah. For example, I produce natural saliva. There are people who don't produce saliva. When they are eating, they put a glass of water by their side. They put a mouthful of food in their mouth. They take a sip of water to humidify the food. But you produce saliva. You produce natural tears. There are people who don't produce tears. And because of the blinking, they will erode their eyes and they become blind. So they move about with artificial tears and they instill these tears in their eyes every hour. But you can produce tears. You can talk. You are alive. You have life. You do this. You do. So by the time you write out those 150 things, 200 things, you realize that, hey, I don't have any reason to be depressed. I may not have a job. I may not have a child now. I may be going through divorce. My husband may be insulting me. But there are many things that are going good for me. So healing yourself is essential, yes.
Life is full of choices, and the first choice you need to take is taking care of yourself. Thank you so much, Dr. Fon Elizabeth, for being part of the program.
Thank you, Emma.
Big thanks to you, ACLC, for
Always
being
a pleasure, Ima.
And that will put a cap to today's edition of the program. You're in the health ed on Equinoxe Radio Multimedia. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe, and I received technical assistance from Babila Jonathan and Reese Pego. From us to you over there, have a great day. Bye-bye for now.